One on the commission need a 5-minute break? No. Okay. All right, we're going to move directly into the City Commission special meeting of September 23rd, and I'm going to ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Weissman.
Here.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks.
Here.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland.
Yes.
Commissioner Lamman.
Here.
Commissioner Narotsky.
Present.
Commissioner Shelley.
Here.
Mr. Wasson. Here. And Mr. Myers. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We did the Pledge of Allegiance earlier, so I'm going to waive that, and I'm going to ask the city clerk to read item number 3, the resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, approving the appointment of members to the City of Aventura Youth Advisory Board to serve during the 2021-2022 school year and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Evans? City Manager, would you like to review the item?
Just very briefly, it is what it says. We're just approving the students that were selected to serve on the Youth Advisory Board and the alternates. And we need the approval, and they will be recognized at the next commission meeting with certificates.
Any member of the commission have a question at this time? Okay, I'm going to open it for public comment. Anyone from the public have a comment on this item? I'm closing it for public comment, and I'll ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland.
Yes.
Commissioner Lamman.
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks.
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 4. It's an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. I'm going to request the city clerk to read this ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending Chapter 31, Land Development Regulations of the City Code of Ordinances by amending Section 31-145, Town Center zoning districts to provide for a new zoning district, Town Center Office Park Mixed Use TC4 District, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of the ordinance? Made by Commissioner Landman, seconded by Commissioner Shelley. I'm going to request Community Development Director Kevin Klopp to present the staff report.
Good morning, Mayor and Commission. Welcome to City Commission meeting. We're still talking about all the same topics, however. So first of all, I want to mention what the changes would be to this ordinance since the last time it was presented before you. I think it might be appropriate at this time for the developer, the applicant, for the rezoning to talk about the project. But real quickly, the zoning has been amended to add a few things. First of all, previously allowed, currently existing uses will be allowed to stay on the site. There is a drive-through bank. Would like to keep that and not only keep it, call it conforming rather than legal non-conforming. So the code would allow that drive-through to stay, but would not allow other drive-throughs to be added. Health, exercise clubs, and spas would be allowed as a use. We spoke about live-work units. They would be allowed to stay with specific parameters. And the height that is subject to conditional use approval, which would be increased to 10 stories rather than 4 stories. Right now, just a 5-story building would have to come before you for conditional use approval. We think that 10 in this type of zoning district would be reasonable. That was an applicant request, and we thought that was right. So those are the changes to the zoning that was previously approved on first reading. And if you'd like the applicant to come up and talk about the project at this time.
Let me ask, is the entity requesting the changes, if they have any comments at this time, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and Kevin, thank you. Commissioners, Jeff Burkow on behalf of Aventura Corporate Center. I'm here with our project team, Jeffrey Davis from ownership, Bernardo Ziskovich and Roberto Bazold, our architects, Tim Plummer, our traffic engineer, and my partner, Mickey Marrero. We covered a lot of the ground on this project and these text amendments in the LPA, and Kevin has covered a number of the issues as well in his presentation. I just want to tell you that currently the buildings on the site, and these are my remarks for not only this item, but the following two items that relate to this project, the legislative and quasi-judicial item. The first buildings on this site were constructed in 1986. They're dated, just like the Office Park District is very dated. It's not really current thinking. It's a product of a prior philosophy in which all uses were supposed to be separated from each other in the zoning code. Today, the trend is towards more efficient and mixed-use development, which is obviously more suited for this site. And the fact that the property is across the street from the Park Square project makes this a logical and natural extension of the TC3 district on that site. We are proposing activation of the pond with this project and its surroundings. We're providing some life to the area by doing this, and we're going to be welcoming the public to enjoy this community asset. Our architecture here, we are able to take you through some of the project plans and show you how it's changed if you want. We also have our traffic engineer here who's available to talk about traffic issues if you want. But as your community development director told you, the project will result in less daily and less PM peak hour trips than if the project was fully built out with office uses as is currently permitted under the OP zoning district. So this is a reduction in trips and traffic from the project. Regarding the live-work concept, I think one of the nice things about this concept is that we've taken the loss of a hoped-for key tenant and turned it into a positive for this area and the first pioneering use in the Northeast Dade area. The TC4 text, as has been drafted and proposed before you, will allow live-work units to be developed on the site pursuant to several conditions and criteria that are incorporated into the text amendment. We talked a lot about this during the local planning agency discussion. I'd also like to add that another nice thing about the live-work concept is it allows these tenants or owners of the emerging businesses, these entrepreneurs, to grow their businesses within these live-work units and hopefully transition ultimately into the other office space within the project. And finally, the other last nice thing about this proposal is that the TC4 language requires the project, including the live-work units, to come back to you at a separate conditional use approval hearing, so you will have control over the product and the site plan that ultimately becomes the basis of this project. So our entire team is here. We're available for any questions that you may have, and we'd ask for your support of not only this item, but the legislative item and quasi-judicial item that will follow. Thank you.
May I ask a quick question? Do we have any map or plat of what the property is we're talking about? I think we all know it's the corporate center, but do we have anything that will show it?
We can show you.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the project on the upper portion of the slide. We have to the south, you have Park Square. To the east, Aventura Lakes. To the north, the new Centro project. And to the west, Biscayne Boulevard. Just the site plan. Various phases of the site plan. If you want a fully professional architectural presentation, Mr. Ziskovich is here to present it. This is a rendering or an aerial photograph of what exists today and how the proposed project would be built out.
Mr. Klopp, before Mr. Siskovich gets up, let me just ask you, we're talking about changing the zoning in the area that was highlighted on the slide,
Correct, it's changing the zoning just for.
in that one area?
Just for that property, yes.
Okay. And just to be clear and ask you, what's good in one part of the city might not be the right program for other parts of the city, correct?
That's correct, but we wrote it in a way that it might work in a few other
And it
places.
might. There might, other places along the boulevard would lend itself to it for sure, but in the middle of Williams Island, there might not, and I'm just picking something, it might not be the appropriate place. So I want to make sure we're only talking about this one section right now.
Correct.
Thank you. Anybody? Commissioner Narotsky.
Just a couple things to flush out. Is there an example of where this has been implemented successfully?
Well, I would say just right across the street is a different version of the same mixed-use concept. Bernardo, you want to amplify on that?
The question, thank you, Bernard Ziskovich, offices 100 Biscayne in Miami. The live work has been implemented in our Midtown project. If you're familiar with Midtown, it's allowed on the side streets that are between the main boulevard and the rail. And they've been very successful and they have caused no issues. I'd also like to take this opportunity to point out that I also assume you're asking about the live work being implemented successfully. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, you're answering.
Okay. So I want to point out another aspect, which is that the ground level, which we want to be activated in terms of people in the community using the retail and the food and beverage and all of that, that has been maintained. The live work requires you to get into a side lobby, go up an elevator, and into only 3 floors that contain 24 units, and they will be totally insulated unto themselves because they occur over the parking. So this is a new concept for Aventura. It has been used all over the country, as Mr. Clark has said. And in the design, we want to emphasize that none of that activity happens at the ground. You would need to go into a lobby, go up the elevator, and then you are contained within that. Let me just go ahead and I'll show you a section. Did I pass it? Sorry. There it is. If you see the drawing on the right, you'll see we created a courtyard for the users of the live work, where it says work, 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 those 3 floors. Let me see, can I zoom in here? Not familiar with this computer. You can see it says parking for 3 floors, and then at the ground it says retail. So the live work units are really completely separated from the street. They are unto themselves, and anyone who lives there is automatically required to be using it in that way. So I think we've addressed, hopefully, the concerns about how that might be utilized.
I did have something else, if I could.
Commissioner Narotsky.
I just wanted to ask for Mr. Klopp if you could outline for us any potential risks and what the worst-case scenario if we approve something like this, just so we have a full and transparent conversation about it.
Well, that's a question to ask the code enforcement director, which is also me, because worst case scenarios, yes, we have to deal with those types of situations. I am happy to say the code enforcement issues we have in Aventura are nothing like the other cities I've worked in my career. And so I really think that does matter for this type of unit, that the atmosphere that these are going to be in are not going to allow, in and of themselves, problems. Worst case scenario, as Commissioner Evans mentioned, there's too many people that somebody gets upset, and that's going to be a management issue for them to work with, because there's going to be tenants that are going to want a certain atmosphere, and if that atmosphere isn't being maintained by one of the residents, then they would deal with it. Code enforcement could get involved. honestly, I think the other worst-case scenario is they're not as successful as we want them to be, and they're vacant. And now you have something that's been built and not occupied. But those are worst-case scenarios, and I don't anticipate them. I honestly do believe this will be successful, and they will be very sought after, and that it will be a peaceful business living environment.
One second, sir, of Commissioner Evans.
I appreciate that. Thank you for clarifying things for me from my earlier questions. There'll be 3 floors of these apartments that you can have an office in. Is that correct? Am I reading that correct?
Yes.
And they're separate from the other.
Its own building.
There will be no other units. There will only be 24
altogether.
live-work units.
Well, thanks very much. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
And let me just say, in terms of the worst-case scenario, which I think for the public would be that these units get overutilized and somebody takes advantage of the concept and there's a lot of foot traffic. The owners of the businesses will have to renew business tax licenses annually. The city will have control of that process, and if the owner has not been compliant, you can just revoke the business tax license or not issue it for the following year.
Thank you.
Could I address one more thing to give you some comfort?
I have a vice mayor that has a question, and then I'll turn it over to you, Bernie, if that's all right.
I just have a question. I don't know if it's for Ron or Kevin or who it's for. Property taxes on this particular structure, I'm assuming that we tax differently for corporate versus residential for property taxes?
Well, that is determined by the property appraiser's office at the county. We would not have any impact on that. Our business tax licensing will be based upon what type of business is in there. I don't know if there is a particular formula that the property appraiser is applying to live-work units. That's a good question. They may very well have carved something out that say these type of units have a certain value to them. I don't know if anyone else knows.
Well, they exist in the city and the county, so there's precedent.
So there must be some information. I would just be interested in finding out.
And Mr. Klopp, you can call Pedro Garcia's office and find out. Yeah.
All right, and then one other question, and it pertains to the business license. A while back, probably within the last year, I reviewed all the amounts of the business licenses, and they're very, very, very low in our city. Do you have any information about more generally if business licenses are all this low, or if this is something we really have to look at a little more carefully?
I'd say the second part of what you've said is the answer. We need to look at that more carefully. We need to look at what the state allows in terms of when we can increase, what kind of studies we have to do in order to put those in place, and what kind of more simplified listing of those business taxes that we could come up with. I'll let you know that Hollywood went through and did this a few years back, and they have 5 business categories. That's it. And it's so much more simple for the businesses to understand how that works, and I think that's something we can look at in the future. Different topic, but
I would
yes.
like to ask the commission if this is something that they would support. The licenses are very low, very low. And when we say something like, well, they have to renew their license every year, if my license is $27 or $39, I'm not going to really care whether you are upset with me, so don't renew my license. I'll still continue having 40 people instead of 30 people till you literally take action and throw me out. So I really think that we should be looking a little, I would like to ask the commission if this could be something that we could look at over the next 30 days or so, and at least by early November, get some kind of recommendations.
I think maybe at our workshop, we can bring it up and discuss it, because, then we can
Okay.
discuss.
Sure.
You think that would be?
Sure.
Okay, but I do want to, and whether it's Mr. Siskovich, whether it's Mr. Burkow, whether it's our attorney, the state is very aggressively curtailing what municipalities can charge for anything, whether it's a permit, whether it's a license. It's a very business-friendly environment in Tallahassee, and they would like us to charge nothing. So again, I think with thoughtful deliberation, we can come up with a plan with our friends in the room and here that would pass the muster without getting the ire. So I think the workshop is a great place, and I'm supportive of your suggestion, very much so. Anyone, Commissioner Landman?
Thank you. I just want to say that this rendering is exciting. It's a nice modern concept. I can think personally of a handful of people who would take advantage of this.
Tomorrow.
People who are having their business at home. So this is exciting. It's exciting for our community. Thank you.
Okay. Any person from the public wishing to address the commission?
Thank you. Did you have something to say?
Bernie?
I just wanted to add something that I think would help you understand. The market dictates a lot of this. If you're the type of business, Commissioner, that is reliant on foot traffic, this is not the place you want to be. So the whole concept here is that if I'm a young person creating a new app and I need someone else to help me with the computer work, I would be able to do that here. If I have a small architectural firm and I'm dealing with very small projects, I might be able to cut my expenses and maybe get started. So it's really intended for that, and the way we designed it, and that's why I wanted to speak once again, is that it is not an appropriate place for businesses that require foot traffic. So by definition, I think it's very unlikely that there'll be a lot of people coming to visit these places.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Could we see this presentation architecturally? I think it might be helpful.
We see it
Pardon? We saw this work live thing?
on first.
Oh, I don't recall seeing the. I believe so too. Are there other renderings that we have not
Yes,
seen?
I'd be happy to
Sure.
show you.
Grove Bank is staying though, right? Grove Bank? Okay, good. That's my bank.
So let me go back.
Tellers may be living there.
No, the drive-through is being grandfathered in, and then no other drive-throughs are being allowed.
So I'll go through this quickly because I know you have an agenda that you want to get through, but I'm very happy to show this to you. This is the existing condition, looking at it from a drone of the site. You see Park Square on the right, which is completed, and you see the existing office park. In the future, this is what it would look like. We've taken a lot of our cues, frankly, from our own work across the street, and we've gone to great lengths to connect the grid and to make the pond the feature, and our heights, which we will come back to you at a future date, we believe are in scale and appropriate for the city. You can see in the foreground the building we were just talking about, which has kind of the angled columns, the lower one right on the boulevard. That is the one that we're talking about prior, which has retail parking and only the live work. And then the building behind is the office, and the one in the corner is the future residential project. So to zoom in, you can see here part of Park Square and the pond as the central feature, and in the future, this is what it would look like. Again, we think that we're taking advantage of the success, frankly, of Park Square and also the natural features of the existing landscape. You can also see on the residential building the existing AC Hotel, and going down the street, how we've created a very low-scale residential project facing the street, which addresses the single-family and multifamily uses across that are at a lower scale. So here you have more of like a 10th story view, because we wanted to get the camera high enough to show you the pond. This is the before and this is the after. you can see how the connectivity in the future would occur. And it really expands on what we think has already been successful for the community and makes it just more of the same. Here you see a close-in vision of what it would look like around the pond. We have our landscape architect, Barry Miller, who I'd like to just, reference in the room if you have landscape ideas, but we want to retain the beauty of the pond, but add the activity surrounding the pond with a little bridge that goes across, and it's going to be delightful. People are going to love it. And it's one of those features that's just very human scale. You can be in a building or you can be more in nature, and we think that this is what satisfies that. This rendering shows you the entry off of off of US 1 with the live-work retail building on the right and the office building on the left. We actually are pretty excited about this image. I think it presents a really kind of fresh, new look on the boulevard, which we're thinking would work. This one we've already spoken about. And here you can see the townhouses at the edge of the proposed residential building, and this is the scale and look of what would be facing the avenue and the residential across the street. So we've been working at it. As was mentioned earlier, we had to reassess our thinking on the one building that we were looking for the key tenant, which we didn't get. And actually, I think after all is said and done, I'm actually more excited about this idea. I think it'll bring a lot less traffic than the prior mentioned tenant. And I think it presents something for younger, more entrepreneurial people in this community to latch onto. And I think you're going to be happy with it at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Okay, now I'll ask if anyone from the public wishes to address the commission. Seeing as there are none, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans?
Yes, sorry.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item 5, an ordinance on first public reading. I'm going to request the city clerk to read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending the comprehensive master plan by amending the future land use map designation for a 10.5 acre parcel of land located at 20801 and 20803 Biscayne Boulevard, western parcel, and 20807 Biscayne Boulevard, eastern parcel, and 20805 Biscayne Boulevard Hotel parcel, from business and office to town center, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the comprehensive plan, and providing for an effective date.
Can I please have a motion for approval of this ordinance? Made by Commissioner Landman, seconded by Commissioner Evans. I'm going to request Community Development Director Kevin Klopp present the staff report. Boy, you're working hard today.
This is the easy part. Thank you, Mayor. And in fact, this would be the same presentation that I gave at the local planning agency meeting earlier this morning. I'm happy to give it again if you like, or I can just incorporate into the record my comments from earlier.
Does anybody want a further presentation? No. Okay. That means you did an excellent job on the first item. I'm going to ask if the applicant has any comments. We appreciate that. Any members of the commission have any comments? Okay, I'm going to open it to public comment. Does anyone in the public wish to address the commission? Seeing as there are none, I'm closing it for public comment, and I'm asking the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Which brings us to item number 6, zoning hearings, quasi-judicial public hearing. The quasi-judicial procedure shall be invoked for items 6A, 6B, and 6C. I'm going to once again ask Mr. Meyer, our attorney, to please provide the procedures for the quasi-judicial hearing for those items.
Thank you, Mayor. As you say, items 6A, B, and C are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to object or comment about the item, please inform the mayor when she requests public comments. Any opportunity for persons to speak on the item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on the item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you refuse either to be cross-examined or to be sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the commission ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to request the clerk to swear in all those wishing to offer testimony on items 6A, 6B, and 6C. So anybody wishing to offer testimony, please stand so the clerk can swear you in.
Need you to raise your right hand and be sworn in. This is for items 6A, 6B, or 6C if you're providing comments. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay, the first ordinance that we're considering on first reading is item 6A, and I'm going to request the city clerk to read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the City of Aventura by amending the zoning designation from OP Office Park District to TC4 Town Center Office Park for a 10.5-acre parcel of land located at 20801 and 20803 Biscayne Boulevard, Western Parcel, and 20807 Biscayne Boulevard, Eastern Parcel, and 20805 Biscayne Boulevard, Hotel Parcel, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of the ordinance? I don't know that I have a motion made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Narotsky. Do I have a quorum, Mr. Attorney? But they're not here. Okay, now that he's here, I do. That's okay. I have the motion, I have the second. I'm going to request the Development Director, Kevin Klopp, to present the staff report.
Thank you. Yes, this rezoning follows the comprehensive plan amendment that was just adopted on first reading. I gave a presentation earlier at the LPA. If you'd like to incorporate that, I don't have to give the presentation again.
Is that all right with the commission? Give me a nod. Yeah, good. Okay. Does the applicant have anything they wish to add?
I also wish to incorporate my prior comments. Thank you.
We accept it. Do any members of the commission have any questions about this or comments? Okay, I'm going to open the item for public comment. Does anyone from the public wish to address this item? Seeing as there's none, I'm closing it for public comment, and I'm asking the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans?
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'm going to request the city clerk to read the ordinance titled Item 6B.
An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the City of Aventura by amending the zoning designation for a 2.30 plus minus acre parcel of land located north of Northeast 214th Street between Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 29th Court from B2 Community Business District to MO Medical Office District, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of the ordinance made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Narotsky? I'm requesting that our Community Development Director present the staff report.
Thank you, and this was previously presented. If you'd like to incorporate those comments into this record. Thank you.
I think we're okay with that. We're okay with that. Does the applicant wish to do the same thing? Okay? We will accept that. Do any commissioners have any comments or questions? I just want to make clear that what Commissioner Shelley said at the first go-around will be given to us about the turning on all future presentations. Okay, I'm going to open it for public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to address this item? Okay, then I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Freeland?
She's
nodding.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Commissioner Lamon?
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to item C. I'm going to request that the city clerk read the resolution for item 6C.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, approving a modification to the sign variance approved through resolution number 2018-31 for the Target store located at 21265 Biscayne Boulevard, City of Aventura, and providing for an effective date.
Can I have a motion for approval of the resolution made by Commissioner Narodsky, seconded by Commissioner Landman? I'm going to request Community Development Director Kevin Klopp present the staff report. And if there's a visual, please show it to us.
There is, and if we can bring up, there we go. Okay, and for something different, finally, this morning for you. This is a variance requested by Target at the north end of Biscayne Boulevard. The applicant is here to further describe, if you like, what they are doing. But in general, the garden center that is or was at the Target is being transformed into a fulfillment center for individuals who order online and come to pick up their goods, and their signage is being proposed to coordinate with that intent. I am going to present to you the specific standards for a sign variance. The intent and purpose of the sign regulations is to allow signage that is effective in indexing the environment, serves as an index to needed goods and services, enhances the physical appearance of the city, promotes traffic safety while preventing visual distraction, and is compatible with its surroundings. We find that the sign variance requested meets those standards, and we would recommend approval. This is one of the signs, and this is the other. So here is on the north end of the building. If you're on Biscayne Boulevard looking at the Target, this is at the north end, and then around the corner where you would currently park to be north of the garden center is where you would park for fulfillment of your goods, for somebody to come out and put it in your trunk, and this is where that sign would be. And then each space of parking would have a sign such as this. And as I mentioned, the applicant is here if you'd like to hear from her to hear more about this, or if you agree, this would be fine. Thank you.
Does the applicant have any comments? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Kim Binkley-Sire with the Sire Group, 7321 Merchant Court, Sarasota. I'm hoping that you all have visited Target before, and I don't know if you've tried the pickup service, which was something that already existed before COVID, but once COVID hit, it hit steroids. I mean, the pickup requirement is in 2020 is up over 235%. So what we're trying to do is re-energize the garden center, shift where that pickup is going, and take people away from the moving the merchandise over the main drive lane, put it to the side, and really take advantage of utilizing that end of the property. The signage is so we can direct people a little bit more, and we've redone the site plan to show the improvements to the garden center. So what we're trying to do is improve the traffic safety, keep people out of the traffic lane where they can be with the carts. And we just think that we're not going back from this. People are going to continue to want to have the service. And we're just really trying to lead the way in how to do this in a really spectacular way. So we ask for your support, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do any of the members of the commission have any questions or comments? Commissioner Landman?
If you look at my Target app, I use the drive up like every single day, pretty much. And yes, there's traffic safety and sometimes getting in and out. If I do it on my way home, I forgot something, I just drive up. I don't have to go in for eggs or whatever. And definitely would be extremely helpful to have the drive up in another area that's not right directly in front of the store. So I think it'll be extremely helpful. And
I think it's great that you have the app. Now, for my job, I have to use the app and I have to shop at Target so I can know, what's going on, so I can answer any question you may have, like what's on aisle 6, got it covered. Yeah. But, it's interesting. I have an 84-year-old mother whose mobility is just slower. And her friends love it because they don't feel rushed. And they go pick out. So I'm really surprised how my mom's group have really gravitated to using such a new concept. But we're seeing it. We're seeing it at all the stores. And we've been testing the whole drive-up delivery different ways in different markets. For this location, this is really kind of leading the way on this coast of really utilizing this area and separating that pickup area. So we just need to educate the driver and get them used to it. We think the signage will really help eliminate the confusion.
Any other comments from any other commissioners? I got to give Target kudos for being on the cutting edge, for being forward-thinking, for creating this, given the fact that our world has changed and how we shop certainly has. I'm going to open the comment. I'm going to open this item for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address this item? Seeing as there's not, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Freeland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm now going to ask for a motion for adjournment of the special meeting, commission meeting, made by Commissioner Landman, seconded by Commissioner Shelley. Anyone opposed? This meeting's officially over. I am going to do a 10-minute break before we do our workshop. It is now 20 minutes after, 23 after. It'll be 7 minutes. 10:30, we will come back.